Hello everyone. Today is January 25th, 2024. I am Desiree. I am coming here with the latest. Today the Lord was in prayer, asking me to come out here and share with you guys a little bit of the trials, I guess we can say, that He's putting me through. Um, I'm just gonna say He's never let me be comfortable everywhere I go, like everywhere I live. There's always so much fire in the spirit against me, and finally I thought I was gonna get a break, but turns out that my mom-in-law sadly passed away like almost a year ago. It's gonna be a year in March, and her room, we just finally finished painting it and getting rid of everything that was there and fixing it up so that my son can sleep inside of it. We were really excited because the whole time that we were all living together, it was pretty cluttered in here because we're too many for this place. We're very cluttered in every sense of the word. And finally, we were able to get space and we were able to put everything in order and all that. My son has been sleeping in the room for perhaps 2 months now. It's when he started because we haven't been able to finish getting it ready until just recently. There was a lot of work to do. Um, but unfortunately for me, we live right next to the expressway. Like it's so much noise, and it's especially noisy from the hours of 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. I think also because everybody has moved to Florida in the past year or two, that it's getting worse. Like it's so many people, so many cars, and it's just unbearable. And my son was toughing it out, but I was able to see his face and he was looking like tired all the time, and he was getting black under eyes and black bags and all that under his eyes. And he was also complaining that he was like forgetful and feeling like his brain was foggy all the time. And he was telling me, I just don't feel like I'm sleeping right. It's just too loud. And of course, we've tried the earplugs. This is a long process of us trying to be at peace in this house. This is not the beginning of it. Since we've been here for 7 years or more, we've always struggled with noise from outside the house, and we've tried everything. But this room, we never knew until now because it's finally open for us to sleep in it, is the loudest of the whole house because it's like literally right next to the street. My mom-in-law, she was not hearing right. She was almost deaf completely. Like it was very hard for her to hear things. She used to have to put the TV really, really loud to be able to hear it. And we practically had to scream at her in order for her to hear us. So for her, I guess it wasn't a problem. She was able to sleep through it and be completely fine. But for me and my son, that we are both very well with our hearing, it is a nightmare. So what I started to do, we would trade. I don't sleep in the room with my husband also because that room is also very loud. And I actually, for a long time, I was trying to tough it out, but I was starting to get heart palpitations because of how much noise there is. The dogs, there's a neighbor that has like 6 dogs, and they bark every morning, like from 6 o'clock in the morning, they're barking. And my husband can endure it like a trooper, but I just get anxiety attacks. And after a while, I decided that I was only gonna be, in the nighttime together with him while he was awake, and then when he was to sleep, I was going to the living room because it was just too noisy. Um, so now my son, he's in his room for the first time, having, this hope that finally he can have an awesome room for himself and all that. But unfortunately, I said, listen, just come and sleep in my little bed here in the living room, and I'll go trade with you so that you can be okay. And it's been a couple of days, and wow, it is actually worse than I thought. And I just didn't even know how my son slept there for that long. I don't know if you guys can see, I have the eyes to prove it. It is extremely loud. Like you hear everything. Like if you are in a bus stop next to the street, the motorcycles, and there's so many trucks in the morning, and like it's not just the sound, it's the frequency. Like our whole bodies are shaking with each car driving by. And I was going to explain that we've tried everything. We've tried putting earplugs, but it turns out that both me and my son, if we wear earplugs for too long, we started to get ear infections. And then I looked up and I saw that if you wear earplugs for too long, you can develop ringing in the ear, and that's a nightmare for me. So I said, oh no, I am not doing this. So no earplugs for neither one of us, because it's very scary to have ringing in the ear as well as ear infections. They're very painful. So I was praying to God to help us to resolve this problem. We bought stuff to soundproof the room, but it doesn't work. It's like a drop of water in a bucket. Literally, the noise is just too loud. It just doesn't work. I'm like, we can't move. We don't have money to move. They're raising the rent here, and they're also raising the rent in my husband's job for his company, which is gonna be a lot harder now for us to make money. My son is making money, but it's not enough. It's just enough for him to be able to get by, but not for us to be able to fix anything in the house. The reason why I'm sharing all of this with you guys is because in prayer, the Lord was telling me I need to share this with you guys because He wants to use my life as an example. I was just in prayer right now telling God, we have another little bed that I can probably set up next to this bed right here. And this is the quietest area of the house. And I was asking God permission to do it. I'm sure my husband isn't going to be too happy, but I'm sure he cares for my mental health and my body and my health more than the way the house looks. For now, I feel like I'm surviving, and this is just desperation. As I was asking God for permission to be able to put that bed here and remove the table and the stuff that's here up where the other side of the house is, because that area is loud too, and it's not good because there's something weird with the gravity, like the gravity pull in that area. When you sleep there, you feel like there's an elephant like literally sitting on your chest. I don't understand it, I can't explain it, but it's unbearable as well to sleep in that section of the trailer because of that too, because of the gravity that is just so weird in that area. So the Lord was telling me, no, that's not my will. I want you to be in the room. And I'm like, I've been dealing with this problem for a long time. I was already complaining about the noise when I was sleeping here, which is the quietest part of the house. Every morning I would wake up shaking and with my hands like this. And I was telling God, why do you want me to sleep through all of these sounds and noises for so many years now? I feel like I'm getting old. I feel like it's aging me and it's deteriorating me, literally. And I just hear him say constantly, I'm strengthening you through all this. I'm strengthening you. I'm conditioning your body to be able to endure for when the war begins. And my son the other day, without me telling him that this is the answer that I have gotten from God, was just telling me he was listening to something that had the sounds of wars. And he's like, it sounds exactly like our trailer. It sounds like all those cars and all the beeping and all the trucks and the peeling out, because there's a lot of cars that peel out by our section. And also there's these mufflers that are new. This is new technology or whatever since a couple of years. I remember I never heard it until a couple of years from being living in here. And it literally sounds like bombs. It goes bah, 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 really loud, and you see fire in the muffler and everything. It's something that the people put in their cars just for fun, but their fun is really killing me. I feel like I'm dying. Like, this is enough. I was like begging God, please make me sleep in a place where I can be in quietness. And instead, while I'm complaining to God all this time, all these years, while I'm sleeping in the quietest part of the house, now He tells me He wants me to switch places with my son so he can rest because he was not doing well. And I'm sleeping in that room like, how do you want me to be here? This is not even rest. You wake up and you feel like you were running a marathon. My head sometimes hurts and my eyes. If you guys, you don't know. Today I look not that bad, but there's days that I look like I am 90. My eye bags and the color is pure black. And the eye bags are just horrible, awful. And I'm like, Lord, you really want me to go through this? I feel like it's dangerous for my health. It literally feels like I'm going to die. And so He keeps telling me that He's training me for what is to come and that I'm going to be okay as long as I seek Him and as long as I'm really clinging onto Him and not wasting any minute of my time. I need to be super diligent with everything I do, literally, because my energy is that fragile. And so I took up the challenge, and then I said, what I'm going to have to do is wake up every morning at 6 a.m. on the dot and not be asleep, because that's the hour where everybody is coming for traffic, for their starting their day, and it's so loud that it just is not good to sleep through that. It just is not. So I said, maybe God wants me to pray in the mornings like I used to do a long time ago for many, many years. I used to actually wake up at 4:30 in the morning and pray from 5 to 7 in the church of Rey Jesus. And I used to do that a lot for many years. And it's very powerful, but it's exhausting. So I said, okay, I'm going to take up the challenge. Maybe this is God telling me he wants me to do that all over again. I couldn't do that, before when my mom-in-law was here, because literally I had no space for me to pray like that, because I'll wake up any of my husband or my son or her, my mother-in-law. I literally used to actually go sit in the truck in my car in front of the trailer and pray, but I would do it at night from 12 to 3 in the morning. And like that, I can talk loud and not wake anybody, but never in the morning, because once everybody's awake, then I would have to also be awake, because there's just too much commotion going on in the house and you can't really sleep through any of that noise as well. So I got used to not waking up in the morning to pray, but I felt like, okay, maybe this is a challenge from God and he's making me go in that room so I can be every morning now waking up at 6 in the morning, and I cannot go back to sleep until after 10 in the morning if I do want to go back to sleep, which is not wise either, because I need the rest of the day to do my things. But from 6 in the morning to 10 in the morning, I have to just pray, read the Bible, and seek him, and do the Holy Communion, anoint the house, anything that has to do like that. And I said, okay, that's exhausting though, let me tell you. Once, 2, 3 times a week, okay, but every day is really tiring. But I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it. But the problem is that when I'm sleeping in there, because then I gotta go to sleep earlier, I sleep, but it feels like I'm not resting, because of there's still noise. It's not as bad as when it's 6 in the morning, but there's still a lot of noise. The Lord wanted me to share what I'm trying to explore here to see if I can make myself sleep better. I literally grabbed a pair of one of my socks and I put aluminum foil paper and I wrapped it up, and I literally have to sleep with one in each ear like this. And then I put this hat like that, and like that. I sleep throughout the whole night when I am sleeping before I start my prayer meeting with him. And then it does help a lot, but it's not the best either. It's better than not having anything on, but it's not like earplugs. And God wanted me to share this with you guys because it seems like when the war begins, we're going to have to get creative as well. And I did hear when the war began in Israel, I was listening to a radio station about how people couldn't sleep because of the noises. And so there we go. This is a confirmation for me, and this is a warning for you guys that you might have to do these tactics later on when the war begins to be able to rest at least a little bit. You can grab a pair of socks if you're like me and you cannot have earplugs inside your ears for too long, and fill them up with a lot of aluminum paper, and it does block the noise a little bit. I still have to do some work on the windows to see if maybe it can block the noise, but God already showed me it's not going to be too much of a difference, but I can try it. And so as I was here still not knowing that he had plans for me to swap places with my son, because I thought my son was happy in his room and he wasn't that bad. I remember one night he told me when I was complaining about the noise, and I was asking him, why have you had me for so many years in this chaotic war zone? Because that's how we call it, me and my son here. He clearly spoke to my heart and told me, I am training you like my mountain goats. And I remember my son once had talked to me about those goats because he likes them and he thinks they're fascinating. But I had never paid thought to them. I was, okay, that sounds cool. They're actually pretty interesting, but that's it. I left it like that. But then when the Lord told me that, I was like, wow, that kind of makes sense, because this feels like those mountains where those goats live. It literally feels just like that. And then he told me to search up about the goats and to study how they live. Before I got to find any of that, I was like, let me just read a psalm because I need help. And every time I'm super desperate, I start reading the psalms out loud because they just calm my spirit. And it's just so happened, I haven't read the Psalm 18 for a long time, but that's one of my favorite psalms, Psalm 18. And I was reading, and I'm just gonna read you guys this so you can see how God truly speaks. My son was blown away by this because he goes, definitely God is talking to you, Desiree, because this is not a coincidence. I was reading this. As for God, his way is perfect. The way of the Lord is tried. He is a buckler to all those that trust in him. For who is God save the Lord? Or who is a rock save our God? It is God that girdeth me with strength and makes my way perfect. He makes my feet like hinds' feet and setteth me up upon my high places. He teaches my hands to war so that a bow is of steel is broken by mine arms. Thou hast also given me the shield of thy salvation, and thy right hand has holden me up, and thy gentleness has made me great. And so in this verse, I saw that he speaks about the hinds feet, and I was telling my son, what does hinds mean, because I honestly didn't know. And he looked it up and he sees mountain goats. And then I'm gonna post it in my description box what he actually found about mountain goats, and it's exactly, guys, what I'm going through in this trailer. I was blown away, and so was my son. My son has no doubt that God is real and that he's definitely with us and talking to us. And so uh, I'm also researching about how they live. The goats have to climb really steep mountains and very, very high. First of all, to get away from predators, and also because they lick the mountain where there's salt that is it's extremely like it has a lot of nutrition and minerals and stuff that they need for them to be okay. And as I was praying today, asking God for permission to please let me trade my little bed that I have that I can put here and like that I can sleep in the living room, which is a lot more quiet. He said no. He said no. You have to go in that room and you have to train for what is to come. And he told me, you in that room is like those goats licking the salt, because literally it is forcing me, you guys, I'm being 100% honest, it's forcing me to look for him like never before. Like I am scared for my life. It feels like it's dangerous for my health. And literally my son did have a dream that because of it I was in an ambulance, and I'm praying to God that that does not happen. I'm asking God to please give me faith for me to believe I'm not gonna die from this, because it feels like I'm getting killed just slowly. And my son is also very worried about me. But God is telling me, if you seek me and if you hold on to me, you'll be fine. And it's going to be for my glory, this whole thing. And he wanted me to share this with you guys because he's asking me to be showing you guys what he does with us and for us to be obedient. And he told me I can't skip this training because it's crucial that I endure and that I get myself strengthened through it, for when the war begins and when everything starts to happen, I can endure it. Like, I don't know why this way and why so hard, why so painful. I have cried, feel like crying right now. I know you guys see in my face, I don't look that pretty. Um, it's scary. But this is how God trains us, and this is not the first time He's done this to me. God has put me in really uncomfortable, painful, very scary, and dangerous situations, and all the time I do see Him get me through it. But yeah, I'm just sharing with you guys all of this so that you guys can be prepared and be ready to obey God, even if it seems that it doesn't make any sense. Of course, get in your knees and pray like how I just did, and see if whatever it is you're going through is because He's training you also to be strengthened through all that so that you can withstand what is to come. Sometimes we're going through very hardships, very hard things, and we don't understand why, but it's actually God training us to be able to endure the next phase of our lives. Just like in boot camp, just like the military trains, just like the soldiers train, like we as God's children need to be put through some serious challenges sometimes so that we can endure the other things that are to come as well. And so uh, this is just my message for today. Look in the description box and read that entire thing about mountain goats. What an amazing animal. Glory to God for the way He has made those animals and the way that they climb those mountains and they survive. It's incredible, and it does speak of His majesty. It is fascinating, and let us just all be encouraged that even though it seems like it's impossible for us, He did equip us with what we need. Just like He made those goats with everything they needed to be able to survive the mountains, the dangers in the mountains, and to be able to climb and to be able to endure the weather too, because it's extremely cold during the winter in those mountains, extremely cold, below zero cold, and they live perfectly in harmony. Maybe not happy. I don't know if they're happy, but they definitely seem like they're making it well work for them. And so as parents, especially when everything starts, we're going to be pretty hectic, pretty stressed out because we always worry about our children. And so it is important that we are very well rooted in God's word and in his presence and in his truth. And we can know that he will strengthen us throughout everything that we're going to go through and use us as well to help our kids to get through it too, because it's going to get hard, especially for the youth. It's not going to be any easy future for us, you guys. And that's why God is telling me to make this video. Get prepared. I was telling him before yesterday, I said, okay, God, I'm going to take up this challenge, even though I feel exhausted, even though I look ugly. I feel like I look so ugly. But then this yesterday, I felt weird. I felt like my body, like I was like, how do I say, like my chest, I felt weird. And I said, no, I can't sleep in this room. That is insanity. And what the Lord told me is I did too much yesterday. I worked out, I did a lot of cleaning, I did a lot of things. And he's telling me now I have to train myself according to how it is with the room and with the sleep. I have to train myself how to not overexert myself when I'm not in the room. And that's a challenge as well. But I guess it's a discipline I need to learn for when the things that are going to unfold. And I'm just sharing with you guys. I'm being obedient. This is what God told me to share with you guys because he wants you all to be obedient, to not be afraid, and to see yourselves like those mountain goats that even though their bodies does not really look to the naked eye as if they can handle being in those mountains and climb up the way they do. You'll see it in the video. There's a video in the link that I'm going to put in the description box. Those mountain goats do not look at all like they belong in those mountains, but they do, and they can thrive like no other animal in there. And that's the whole message here, that God, even though to our own understanding is like for us impossible sometimes to obey him in certain situations, if we seek him wholeheartedly and obey him and we are disciplined with his way of doing everything, he will get us through and it will actually be a testimony. So maybe when you see me in my next video, I hope to God my face looks better, but if it looks worse, you know what's going on now. I'm having trouble sleeping. It's not that I don't sleep. I can fall asleep, but it's so much noise throughout my entire time sleeping that I wake up with my eyes looking crazy. And my even headaches and my brain sometimes feels foggy. But God is telling me he's training me to be able to sleep through that and still have my face not look crazy and my mind be sharp. But it has to do with me seeking him. He's going to do a miracle, I am assuming. So we're going to see. I'll keep you updated if I can keep up with this training and this incredible journey that he's taking me now with this room. That feels like pure chaos. I have a lot of praying to do in it. And I'm going to be more creative and see what else I can do to soundproof the room better. But definitely, guys, if you also have any compassion, please pray for me because this is hard. It's very hard. I am going through it. But that is his will, and so be it. May God bless you guys, and thank you for watching. Bye-bye.